In this video, I'll be breaking down into simple, understandable terms how the automation platform Make.com works and how I use it to build AI agents that can take actions on your behalf. So, if you don't know me, I'm Anthony Scrow. I run Malibu AI, an AI automation agency that helps small and medium-sized businesses understand and implement AI to save time and money. Firstly, what is Make.com? So, Make.com is a no-code automation platform, and if you're familiar with something like Zapier, it's like a more powerful version of that. So, Make helps businesses automate repeatable workflows. So, it lets you connect apps, process data, and trigger actions all without writing code. It's perfect for busy business owners who want to give high-quality service to customers without having to be involved in every single interaction. That's just one example, though. We use it for a variety of use cases at Malibu AI. Now, how does Make work? So, Make is all about taking in and sending out data. I like to think about it as if the data were passengers and luggage, coming in on airplanes, making their way through the airport, and then going their separate ways based on where they need to go. So let's anchor this in a concrete example from a business use case, lead qualification. So in the real world, a call comes into, say, a financial services business. Maybe they need to qualify borrowers for loans. And if you'd like to see a demo of an agent like that in action, by the way, check out the link below in the description. So after the AI agent has the conversation with the prospect, the call transcript needs to get sorted and organized so the business can qualify that prospect. That organization happens in Make. Let's jump into Make now to take a closer look at what happens behind the scenes. Alright, so any automation in Make starts with something called a scenario. Think of it like your blank canvas or the entire airport where you lay out the journey of the data. So you drop in modules, link modules to create routes and design the flow, all visually with no code. And each scenario is made up of a few components. The most important one is called a module, and each module does something different to the data. So these modules are then linked up to create a workflow, which is called a route. And the data travels along the route in a linear fashion until it reaches the end of the route, and the data processing sequence is at that point complete. By the way, if any of these terms are confusing, I'll leave a glossary below so you can keep track of the jargon. For our airport example, you can think of modules as the different parts of an airport, such as security, baggage handling, or a conveyor belt to move people or luggage. So in this specific example, the first module in this scenario is called a webhook. That's just a fancy word that means an address you give to other systems, like your AI call analysis tool, so they know exactly where to send the data it just generated from that call with the prospect. You can think of the webhook address as the name of the airport, like JFK, so the plane, or in this case the data, knows where it's flying to. Now, that information travels to the webhook in a little package of information called a payload, which takes the form of what is then called structured data, something you can pull apart and inspect, like TSA does to your suitcase when you're already late for your flight. It's easy to read for humans because at the core, it's essentially a little piece of data and a label for each one. So think about it like a passenger seat number in the plane being the data label, and the data is a specific seat number, say A17. In the case of our call data that we received about the prospect, we might have a data label be customer name and the data be Anthony or loan amount 50K. So to put the whole picture together so far, your little package of data is the plane flying to the webhook, i.e. JFK. So the data knows where to go, and we know what the data is made up of. Now what happens? So when the plane is landing, it's in touch with the control tower, which tells it where to go, right? That brings us to a new piece of Make scenario, a router. Now, routers are like specialized modules whose sole job is to route data to different routes. So why would a scenario have different routes, you might ask? You might want different routes based on what you need to do with your data. Maybe one of them sends a text message to the prospect after the call with follow-up information or booking link for a calendar, for instance. Another might send a call summary to your team, letting them know it's a qualified lead. So wait, how does the router know which route to send the data to? So that's the job of the last component you'll find in Make scenarios, a filter. And they do exactly what they sound like. You might set up a filter logic so that a payload of data that arrived has a specific label, such as call analyzed. It will know that, hey, that means the AI just finished up a call, and here's the info I need to pass along this route, which will then process that data for the team so they know if this was a valuable lead or not. To understand filters through our airport example, say you just landed from a flight from Paris, and after you got off the plane, you go through customs and immigration, where they filter people based on whether they have luggage that needs screening or if they're citizens or visitors. That will determine where they get sent next. Now, once our data has landed and been filtered and routed to make sure it's on the right path, it will now complete its journey down the route itself, hitting each module in the route before finally reaching into the route. A basic route for your call data might be one where that information gets pulled into a spreadsheet where each call data lives on its own row. And that way you can have your data organized in one place and take further actions from there. So maybe you'd run an analysis for the past couple of months on all the call transcripts to find patterns in what the sticking points were for prospects, which would then enable you to tweak the prompt or script for your agent to reduce that friction on future calls. Now, at the end of the data's journey along the route, you have the final destination of the data. Realistically, this could be any number of things. In this case, the route ends with that email getting sent to the team about the prospect. And to wrap up the travel example, maybe after getting through customs, you needed to go to the bathroom 2 hours ago, so you hit the stalls, then have to stop the 18-euro sandwich shop for a quick bite, and finally, you flag down a taxi for a ride and you're on your way to go see Paris. So that's a basic overview of how Make handles data from receiving it at a specific location, i.e. the webhook in the scenario, directing it through routers and filters, and then sending it down routes to be processed over several steps in the modules. And for context, other programs do a similar job. Zapier is a similar version of this, and there are others like N8N, which are more sophisticated and can handle large amounts of data more cost effectively. So best for production grade applications. All right, I hope you found that walkthrough helpful. If you have any questions about Make.com or AI automation in general, feel free to drop me a question in the comments or send me a DM on LinkedIn. And of course, if you wouldn't mind giving this video a like and subscribe, I would super appreciate it. Thanks and see you next time.